What's up, everyone? I'm Adam, and I collect sports stuff. Like many of you, I have that one gem in my collection, the one item that stands above everything else, and that is this beautifully signed Shohei Ohtani baseball. Now, fortunately, I did not have to drain my bank account on eBay or through a third-party memorabilia dealer to make this ball part of my collection. Instead, I did it the old-fashioned way. I went down to the ballpark. Now, I'm sure many of you have an idea as to how to get in-person autographs, and everybody has their own techniques. Me, I'm very amateur at it. I only do it when I'm at the game. I don't plan it out too far ahead of time, and sometimes that works out for the best. In this instance, I simply had to decide whether or not to skip out on work, which I did. I told my boss at the time that I had a dental appointment with the pure goal of getting down to the ballpark to get an Ohtani autograph. Now, it was 2018, Ohtani's rookie season. He was the first baseball player to enter the league since Babe Ruth to try really, really hard at both succeeding at pitching and hitting at a professional level. Not many people thought it could be done, but many people were there for the show. They wanted to see Shohei in the flesh and see what he could actually do. Now, this day at the ballpark, as you can imagine, was busy. You had Ohtani, who was kind of a new attraction to the crowd, but you also had Mike Trout. And as you know, Mike Trout always gets a big crowd of autograph seekers at games. Now, for Ohtani, it was a little bit different than what I had seen before. In addition to the typical fans that would just be down there for an autograph, you had people there just with their cameras. People from the Asian Canadian community were just wanting to get close to Shohei just to snap a photo of him in their presence. It was really quite remarkable, but also led to some serious congestion down by the end of the section. So let me take you through this a little bit as to how this all kind of went down based on what I remember. 7 years ago now, so things are a little bit foggy, but here's the general idea. So I get down to the section, and like everyone else, we were just watching Ohtani warm up. They're on the right field side of the field. People are going through the warm up, stretching, just kind of milling about as teams normally do before a game starts. So it became very clear very soon that Ohtani was not shying away from the fans. He was walking close to the baseline, acknowledging crowds, and eventually decided to pull over and greet the people that I was near. And at that point, as you can imagine, in 2018, it was chaos. People were cramming anywhere they could to get a glimpse, to get a signature, to get whatever they could from Ohtani. Now, the trouble with this is that you have a lot of people in a very tight space. You have chairs in the way, you have children, you have adults with giant backpacks, you have a lot of obstacles in your path. Now, what really made this experience pretty scary was that there wasn't seeming to be an understanding between everybody in the crowd that space was needed for people to kind of get in and out of the situation. Too many people were pushing forward and not enough people were letting others get out. That happened to me. We'll get there in a second. The first thing I can remember is being 6'4" as I am and trying to get over the crowd to get a ball into Ohtani's hands. Now, normally when you're this tall, you don't have that much of a problem in getting the ball over. This day I did. I was probably about 3 or 4 rows deep as this whole process started. And I don't know where my brain went to think that this was possible, but I decided to geniusly stand on a stadium seat. Well, as any of you know who's been to a baseball game, those seats are not made for standing. So what I did was I got on the seat, and within a second, my ankle slid between the seat back and the chair itself. Pretty precarious, and when no one is there to pay attention to anything about Ohtani, you're a little bit screwed. So after a few minutes of wrestling with the chair, I somehow found a way to make it out, even if it did freak out a couple of the spectators along the way. Turns out people don't like having their shoulders grabbed or having their help provided without feeling very uncomfortable along the way. So what I wound up doing was regrouped, collected myself, and realized don't go on chairs anymore. That is a terrible idea. So what I did was I just got back in the crowd and just tried to this time move around with Ohtani versus trying to go through the crowd or over top of the crowd to get Ohtani. Now, I'm not proud to say it, but the ball did not get signed out of the easiest and most, what would you say, eloquent way. As the crowd kind of got enthusiastic, I could tell there's one father who was, for lack of a better term, using his child as bait. Now, the problem with this is you're now putting people in danger that do not have a total understanding of the situation. Within a couple minutes of Ohtani pulling over and start signing for people, you could hear this one child not wailing, but he was pretty unhappy. He was crying a bit. And what happened was he was pushed up against the front of the barricade with his father trying to get Ohtani to come to his kid. Now, you give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just wanted his kid to have the experience, or maybe the dad wanted the ball and thought the kid would get him the ball. Nevertheless, the situation became very uncomfortable very quick. The kid was clearly in distress and needed to get out of there. So within seconds, team security, stadium security, they're all trying to get in there, manage the crowd, get the kid out, and make sure everybody was safe and sound. At this time, Ohtani's interpreter, who is now, as we know, incarcerated, was there trying to manage the crowd. So at this point, when the child is being helped out, Ohtani is paused. He's kind of like a statue in time, watching the situation evolve. Now, at this point, the interpreter tells everybody, okay, 5 more. That's it. They're getting out of there. They don't want to cause any more distress. So interestingly, at that point, I kind of found myself this little cranny in the crowd. I don't know how it appeared. It's just like the gates opened and there we were. So I noticed at this point, while the commotion was happening and Ohtani stood there kind of solitary, I had this little pathway between myself and Ohtani's hand. Now, I would never typically do this because it's a little bit insane. I don't want to force anything upon anybody. I don't want to be aggressive, and I don't want to be pushing my boundaries, let's just say. So that's normal circumstances. But when an Ohtani autograph is involved, even when it was before we knew exactly what he would become, MVP, World Series champ, all-around legend, I decided to just throw a little bit of caution into the wind and go for it. I very gently took the ball, slid it through the little gap in the crowd, and gently placed it in Ohtani's hand, along with the pen. Without any hesitation, without any oddness, Ohtani gracefully took the ball, and as you can see, signed it in the absolute sweet spot. Now look at that signature. That is rookie era, clean, totally solid. I couldn't believe the luck that I had that day. The fact that I could not only get through that really, really, really strange crowd, but to get that ball signed in such a perfect manner almost tells you a little bit about what Ohtani is like as a professional. We all know about his hardcore work ethic and his ideas for perfection. But seeing how he signed this ball amidst the chaos and how he conducted himself amidst it all was wonderful. A lot of the times you'll see players get a little bit antsy, maybe run off or get a little bit standoffish. But in this circumstance, Ohtani knew not to escalate the situation. Instead, he continued about his way, signed some autographs, made sure, yes, the child got out. He was not maimed. He was fine. He got brought onto the field. I'm sure he got an Ohtani ball. For me, I luckily saved my ankle. I did not go into another chair. But again, it was quite the scene trying to get out. I had this beautiful ball in hand. I was stoked. I wanted to go back to my wife, go drink a beer, enjoy the game. But man, it was tough getting out of that crowd. The problem is when you have baseball fans and you have just pop culture fans all in one group setting like this, no one really understands what to do once you're trying to get out. Everybody's going forward. Not enough people are going back. So what I would suggest to you when it comes to somebody like Ohtani, who goes well beyond sports in terms of his popularity, if you try to get a ball signed by Ohtani at a game or any kind of public event where there are crowds, make sure you have a point of entrance and a point of exit. It is very important to make sure that you know where you're going and how you're getting out of it when you need to get out of there. Most importantly, don't cause anybody harm. I don't believe I caused a child harm. He was over here, I was over there, but still it's important to select your spots. I wouldn't always recommend using a break in the action due to a bit of an emergency to push a ball forward to get it signed by anybody, even Shohei Ohtani. But the reality is sometimes in this hobby, you need to kind of take a chance and see what will happen. I hope this story helped. I hope this helps you feel encouraged about maybe yourself getting an Ohtani autograph down the line. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more. I got plenty of stories and plenty of advice I'd love to give you. Have a good one.